I'm going to show you how to do the graph. And this is the graph you're going to have to do on the test. It'll be different numbers, different axes. First off, I've just plotted the points. I'm assuming you know how to do that. I plotted them this way because it worked out to go to 7 and make a quarter, 4 squares per volt this way, right? I've labeled this axis potential in volts. Potential means the same thing as voltage, but it's voltage in volts it seems redundant, right? Here this axis is current in amps, right? It's got a title on it. Make sure you do that on the test as well. Current versus potential for a wire, right? And now we need to put error bars on there. Make sure you use a straight edge for your error bars. Now because I did it this way, in the vertical direction, every square is 1/10 of a volt, so it's really pretty easy. These little error bars are going to go right down to that line, and then 1, 2, 3 up to that line there, right? Down 3, because my uncertainty is 0.3, right? And then 1, 2, 3 up, like that. Now, supposing that it doesn't work out so well for you, right? One of the things you can do is you can make a little jig like this. In fact, it'll just speed it up even for me. There's the point, 1, 2, 3. There's the upper limit, right? 1, 2, 3. There's the lower limit. You can't even see it. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing it off the camera though, so it's like clever, right? Okay, so I put this on the point like that, right? And there it is, right? Okay, so I make marks on the paper, you know, and now I'm all set. I can actually go like this and go doo-doo-doo and do like half the little bars, right? Do a little I bar like that, and then go through the point, right? And then I like to do them this way. I draw them horizontally, but they are vertical, right? Okay, so there's that guy, doo-doo-doo. This will save you some time, right? Here's this guy. And this really helps if you're, like the way you graph it, it's like half. You need to go like 1.5, right? Okay, so let's draw that guy there. Okay, I always draw these guys little, whatever the little crossbars are. And then I just go back and draw them later. Nobody will laugh at that. Okay, so doo-doo-doot, doo-doo-doot. There you go. And then our final one here. Am I even on there? I am. Okay. My monitor's above my head. I got to look up when I... Okay, so there we go. Whoops. And then just keep this parallel. It's sort of sad when you... Right. And then on these ones, I just need to draw a little crossbar. Folded paper is always a good straight edge. As long as you fold it straight, you know. Okay, there we go. Now all I have to do is just finish the little cross things. Make them look nice and even like that. Okay. And I like to draw them like that, but there it is, right? The first thing to do is to put a best fit line through, okay? And the best fit line just kind of schmoozes these other lines, right? So, whoops, let's zoom out a little bit here so we can see the whole thing, right? You just want to draw that line through there as it best fits. Okay, yeah, I keep getting that wrong, don't I? Okay, so I'm going to just lay this guy on here, and it's like you're just trying to get as close as you can. What am I doing? It turns out, I think, for this guy, the data that I gave you, the best fit line seems to go through. Notice I'm not trying to pin it to 0, 0, even though it probably does go through 0, 0. I don't know, something like that, right? Make sure you draw this guy nice and long. He's going to go off the plot frame because we're going to read this guy, right? We're going to read these points here to figure out that slope. Okay? So I'm going to read that point and that point to find out those slopes, right? So this point here, the plot frame goes down here to 7.25, right? So this point here is 7.25, and then how far up is it? Well, let's see, this line here is 3.5, so that's 3.58. Okay? And then this point down here is well, it looks to be about 0.25. I'm going to pay 0.27 over. Right, because every square here is 0.25. It's a little beyond that, right? And then it's 0 up. Right, so I've got the coordinates of these points here. That's what you want to use. That's what IB wants to see, and that's what I want to see when you're doing the test, right? Okay, so the point-point form there is going to be y minus y over x minus x, right? So 3.58 minus 0, right? So y minus y divided by 7.25 minus 0.27. Got to use parentheses, right? All my batteries are low. I'm living dangerously here. 3.58 minus 0 divided by, watch it shut me down, 7.25 minus 0.27. Okay, so that is 0.51289, right? And then this, the units of this, and make sure you label the units on your test, right? These are amps per volt. Right, now a volt per amp is an ohm, but these are amps per volt. How many amps to the rise divided by the run, okay? Now 1 divided by that gives me my my slope is 1, right? So 1 divided by that, R is 1 divided by 1 point, sorry, 51289, and I'm getting 1.9, which I'm not happy about at all because the Excel gave me like 2.04, but that's okay, whatever you read and whatever it is. And why is that? I don't know why. Okay, so 1.9, that's what my calculator says, right? So that's what I'm getting for that resistance. Okay, now I also want to do the min and max lines, and even though I'm going to draw them, I'm not going to use my drawing of these lines to find the slope. I'm simply going to use the numbers that are in the data packet. But because I want to make IB happy, I'm going to draw these guys, right? So there's my steepest one and my least steep. Okay, like that. Okay, and then these guys you can just simply use point-point form. So I'm just going to use the data table here, right? Okay, and then you can see on this guy, okay, yeah, I definitely don't know which way this thing pans, right? You can see that the least steep line is actually going to go from 0.7, which is 0.4 plus 0.3, right? Okay, so this guy here is 1 over 0.7 up, right? To this one is 7 over. And what is that? That is 3.1 up, which is just 3.4 minus 0.3, right? So I'm just simply going to use these numbers, point-point form. Everybody's going to get exactly the same answer for this one, right? So least steep, right, is going to be 3.1 minus 0.7 divided by 7 minus 1, right? So 3.1 minus 0.7 divided by 6, that's 0.4. And then the units of this are amps per volt. Rise is in amps, run is in volts, right? And then 1 divided by 0.4 is 2.5. So the resistance is right, these are ohms. Yeah. Okay. So 2.5 ohms, that's my resistance. And then the most steep, this point here, is, what is that? That is going to be 3.4 plus 0.3, right? 3.4 plus 0.3, so that's 3.7. So 7 over this point here, right, is 7 over and 3.7 up. And then this point here, we're going to go down to this guy, right? This guy is 1 over and 0.1 up. So the most steep is going to be, and I'm going to do rise.